Well, 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 look at this. Hopefully you can hear me and see me okay. But I had some technical difficulties getting on. I can't believe it. Um, well, this is how technology goes, right? So if you're able to join me, which hopefully it's 13 minutes after the hour, but I'm here to share with you the third habit that the book talks about that holds us back from getting the promotion, getting the pay raise, or getting the job that you're trying to go after. And these habits that I found in this book hold us back from achieving those things. And this live, which I do every single Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, today 7:13 Eastern, I jump on to talk about the habits and how do we reverse those to something different. So first of all, let me just step back after getting off of my wackadoodle running around trying to figure out how to get live. I want to step back and just introduce myself. If this is your first time here joining me live, my name is Princella Stringer, and this page is dedicated to videos and postings that are geared toward helping women get to where they want to be. I post videos specifically for women to claim their power and to live their best life. So you may catch me looking down from time to time as I'm looking at my notes here. I had my cool little setup in the other part of the room here. So now you get my little fun organizing board in my office, in my home office here, which is perfectly fine. This works, right? So all right, so I want to thank you, of course, for hopping on. If you're here for the replay or if you're here joining me live, matter of fact, if you're here joining me live, I'd love for you to type a little something, something in the comment box so I know that you're here and you're watching. Today, we're going to go over habit number 3. So actually, I want to just go on here and see if let me see. I wanted to invite some people to join me live. Some people had a hard time getting on and joining me, but I actually don't see how to do that, so that's fine. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and dive into habit number 3 from the book, How Women Rise. And this, as I said, this series that I'm going to have on every single Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern is a review of the habits that I noticed in this book, that I saw in this book, that hold women back from getting the job, getting the promotion, getting the pay raise. These 12 habits hold you back from that. So today we're reviewing habit number 3. I also just wanted to share with you that you'll, if you see me here on Facebook, which is where I do my lives, you can also find this later on YouTube, where there is a playlist. And as a matter of fact, on this Facebook page, you'll find a playlist also. So if you've missed the first 4 videos that I did, just go back to that playlist, watch those videos. If you're here now, stick with me here now, because every video from here on out will be diving deeper into the habit that we're talking about. So no need to go back and watch the other videos first. And so I just want you to know that if you're here now, you can stay here and hang tight with me. So what my goal is, my number 1 goal, is to help women tackle their biggest issues with living out authentically, personally, and professionally. When we can live in our authentic space, our authentic selves, professionally and personally, this is where we can really go after the goals that we've set for ourselves. This is how we figure out the goals that we have for ourselves. And that is what I'm aiming to do here. So if you're visiting with me live, let me know you're here. Say hi. Hey, Julie, thanks for joining. I hope you enjoy this video. And also, if you have any comments on anything that I share here, pop those into the comment section, and I'll try to get those after we discuss. So okay, so now going back to the book is How Women Rise. This was written by Sally Helgensen and Marshall Goldsmith. Marshall Goldsmith wrote a book back in the day called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. But these two teamed up. Sally Helgensen worked primarily with women. Marshall Goldsmith worked primarily with men, and they teamed together to create a book that talked about what's holding women back from getting that promotion and getting that pay raise and so forth. So habit number 3. Habit number 3, this one is overvaluing expertise. Another way to put this is, being stuck in the need for perfectionism. If you're a perfectionist, this may be one of the habits that's holding you back from getting that next level position or getting that pay raise. And I think this is such an important topic for women to kind of figure out if this is where you're at. If you're overvaluing an expertise level thinking or position in your job, and you're constantly striving to be an expert, one side of our brains say, yes, this is what you need to do to get ahead. This is what you need to do to get recognized. But one of the important things about Marshall Goldsmith's book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There, the title really says it all. Now, when you're in a job and you're doing a good job there, many things in that can hold you back from going to the next level. And unfortunately, this can keep you at that current job. This can keep you in that role. And it's not to say that you shouldn't do a good job, right? We need to do an excellent job in the job that we're in. This, after all, that's why we were hired for that position, right? But what should you do instead? Instead of overvaluing the expertise level, what should you do instead? So by all accounts, as I said, you still do a good job at your job, but there are many reasons why we get stuck into the rat race of striving to be an expert in the position that you hold. And maybe you in the beginning were in a position that you need to really prove yourself. Maybe you were new to the company and your peers and your boss didn't know you very well. So you were digging deep into all of the knowledge that you can absorb to really be known as an expert in the position that you're in. Maybe you were intimidated by somebody that you're working with. And that kind of stirred up this thing of being better, smarter, stronger, work harder than anybody else. There again, you're trying to achieve, or you're overvaluing expert level. Now, in the beginning of a position, yeah, you really want to show your stuff. You really want to be able to highlight the things that you know to really stand out in your department. But there comes a certain point where you've got to move beyond that and look at some other things that are really, really important to your growth. So, because by now, if you're thinking about how do I get ahead in my role, or how do I get a raise and things like that, by now you're already holding your own in your level of responsibility in the job that you hold. Okay, I'm going to say, I think it's safe to assume that right now, if you feel like you're not there yet and haven't started to gain the respect level in your position, and you're still working toward, it's new, less than 6 months, and you're still trying to show what you can do in this position. Maybe you're still working on a major project, and this is what's going to help elevate you to the next level. We're going to want to show our goods and show what we can do in these positions. Only you can know, since I don't know your particular story, if you are ready to go to the next level in your role. So in the past, we've been told that working hard pays off, that you will get noticed when you're working hard. And I hate to say it, but it's just simply not true. Working smarter is what pays off. Do well in our jobs and work smarter to be able to really highlight different parts of your personality that will help you show what you're capable of from a leadership perspective to get promoted or get that higher level responsibility job. And we're going to talk about that more in just a moment. But working smarter is ensuring that you get recognized for the work that you are doing. Working harder more so just solidifies you in that position and keeps you there. So remember that one of the habits that was holding us back that we talked about before, habit number 1, was a reluctance to share your achievements. And I believe that these two kind of go hand in hand with each other, the reluctance to show your achievements, and then you're overvaluing expertise level. And expertise level, or trying to achieve expertise level, you've got your head down and you're like being a workhorse and getting the job done and doing it well and doing it perfectly. We're kind of guilty of this if we cringe when somebody finds a mistake. You know, we don't allow ourselves the grace, let alone giving somebody else space to trust that they'll allow us grace. And this is when we might be stuck in overvaluing expertise. So now, the other thing that I wanted to say, some of the other things that really work against you in overvaluing an expertise level, is that when we're striving for perfection, this is exhausting. It is exhausting. I mean, tell me it isn't, right? When you're working on a project and you want to be done, you're like so ready to be done with this project, but then you find an error here, or you realize you've got to put more data here, or you've got to expand on this comment there. All of these things, these little details, maybe they may be important, but you've got to analyze that for yourself. Is it striving for perfection, or do we have what we need in there? You know, there is a fine line there. So striving for perfection or overvaluing expertise is exhausting, especially in today's world. Today's technological world forces us to keep doing the research and research and research. We easily get stuck in a rabbit hole when we are constantly in research mode. So that, my friends, is exhausting. Anybody that's in here and knows what that feels like knows exactly what I'm talking about. It is exhausting. So fight against the need for perfection. Okay, today's day and age, I think that the more transparent we can be with what we're genuinely trying to do on a positive note, the more we can relate and connect with others that are around us. Okay, so hold that thought there. The second point that I want to make about why this is not the best route to go is that doing your job to perfection only locks your boss in the belief that you are perfect for that job. So when we're striving for perfection in the job that we currently hold, you're telling your boss that she can't do without you in that position, that you are so valuable in that position, and you become irreplaceable in her eyes, in his eyes. And this is not what you want, because then they're not going to share you with other departments or look at you for a position in another role, because you're much too valuable in the role that you're in. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then the third reason that I think that this may be working against you is that your boss, as I said, starts to believe that you're irreplaceable, and they're reluctant to share you with another job. They hold you into that position. So I want to read something from my book here, and I want to share an experience that was noted in the book that I think will be really helpful. Let me grab that. Hold on one second here. All right. I had to reposition myself with not being able to jump on live earlier today, so I lost my book. But I really want to share this story with you because it's really drives home the point that I want to make with this overvaluing the expertise. Now, if you have your book, if you have a book, I'm looking at page 89 here. So the book talks about a woman named Ashley, and she's in a position at this company, and it kind of skips ahead to this wake-up call that really helped her get herself to the next level. So she had a wake-up call. She'd been with the company for 6 years when her boss mentioned that her name had surfaced for a job in the company's fast-growing business-to-business division. He told Ashley that an internal recruiter was interested, but that he, my boss, could not afford to lose me. And Ashley said, "It's amazing that he didn't think to tell me that this would be a problem. meaning her expert level position that she held in this job. But even more amazing is that I saw nothing wrong with it. I actually felt flattered that he needed me so much. How many of us have been in that position? You feel stuck somewhere, you feel like you can't grow from there, and others are telling you how valuable you are, and it makes you feel even more stuck. They need me here. It makes us feel good on one end, on another end, we're stuck. We're stuck in that role. So she says, it was the validation I'd been looking for since joining the company. Now, this happens so many times in our personal and professional lives. And so what do we do about this? I want you to start thinking about your job or the roles that you hold as a bridge to your next level. This will help you develop a more of a growth mindset. And if you start thinking of it this way, you can position yourself to be looked at for promotion, to be looked at for more challenging positions that will elevate your standing in the company, right? So by starting to think this way, you're demonstrating that you're ready for the challenge. And when you're demonstrating that you're ready for a challenge, you will start to get recognized for that when you demonstrate it and you talk it up. So speaking of that, when a challenging project comes up or when a promotion comes up, you want to set the expectation with your boss and your peers around you. When one arises, a position or a challenge, you've got to communicate that and be very clear about what you bring to the table for that challenge or that challenge project or for that position. So in the example that I shared with you with Ashley, later on another position came up for her. And when that position came up, she decided to go to her boss this time and let him know that she is ready to try something different and she's ready to face a new challenge at work. So the next step that she took was that she communicated what she is good at and what she can contribute to that position. So being clear and communicating why you're ready for that challenge is really important. I mean, you're kind of setting the conversation for your boss to have with maybe they have a connection in the company there and can recommend you for that role. As Ashley did, she went straight to her boss and talked about the value that she can bring to that. And then he was able to take what she shared with him and use that as leverage to talk to his peer to help her get an interview for that role. Another thing for a growth mindset is to know your strengths. So know your strengths. If I were to ask you today, what are strengths that you have right now? And you should be able to tell me your top strengths and what you're good at. If you cannot answer that question right now, then it's something to think about and to consider. As a matter of fact, if you're on right now and joining me live, what are some strengths that you have that you know you are good at? You want to maybe work more along those lines and those strengths that you have. Maybe they're being underutilized in the position that you're in right now. Maybe you're not able to leverage that to help you get to the next level in the position that you're in. So think about that now. What are some strengths that you hold that you would be able to talk about if you were coming to someone to ask for a raise or to ask for a promotion? Let's see. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, going back to the strengths, when we're talking about our strengths with our leadership and we're asking for a raise or asking for a promotion, you especially want to think of the strengths that position you in a leadership position. You don't want to talk about strengths like that I love to research and I'm good at researching and finding information and data. You know, that isn't something that you want to point out as a strength. You want to discuss the strengths that show you in a leadership role, in a leadership light. So maybe you may talk about a challenging project that you had and how you pulled everybody together and delegated certain things because you knew Sally Sue could be good at this and Joe can be good at that, and your role was XYZ. So make sure that when you're talking about your strengths and you're communicating why you would be good for a certain role, that you're doing it in a light that shows your leadership skills and your leadership potential. So Any comments, just go ahead and drop them in. I'd love to hear also if you faced this challenge in the past, if you felt like you were stuck in a position, or maybe you are trying to develop a growth mindset. What are some things that you did to really show this at work? What did you do to highlight your strengths? What did you do to share with your boss workers how you are good at what you do? We can do this in a way that's not boastful. We can do this in a way that just really contributes to the team, where you become known for a certain skill or strength that you have. And when we do this in a team environment, and do it in a helpful manner and an inclusive manner, it can really be seen as a strength that people value and will be quick to ask you to help with a project where that strength can be really utilized. So the last thing I want to mention in this growth mindset mentality is to really take building relationships seriously. Now, I used to say, when in my younger years of working, I could not stand when people were too social. It got under my skin, and honestly, it was because it was not a comfortable thing for me to be social outside of work or at work, to be honest with you. And so I especially didn't want to see it at work. Huge mistake on my part, because when we're leveraging those relationships, nurturing those relationships and really supporting each other at work, this is where we're showing our leadership potential. This is really important, especially when we're taking our conversations to a more professionally social level with our boss, or with other higher level positioned people that maybe we want to get to know better, to learn more about their department, about projects that are going on, and things of that nature. Taking the idea of forging relationships is really important. So one way that I would invite you to think about doing that is, if there's someone at work that it would be to your benefit to forge a relationship with them, think of some questions that you would want to ask them. Maybe they're in a department or a position that you've always been curious about, and you want to learn more about that position. Maybe they're working on a project that you're just genuinely curious about, and that your department doesn't deal with. Ask them some key questions about that project, or about the position, or about the department, to start building conversations. And then with that, it can lead to other conversations where you're forging and building that relationship. When you have your nose to your desk and your nose at your computer all the time, you're not thinking about forging relationships and reaching out and building connections with other people in the department. So I want to invite you to, here's another thing, it's good for us to step away from the computer, step away from our work, walk around a little bit, and talk to other people and find out how their day is going, how their projects are going, and things of that nature. We know how to do this professionally without overstepping boundaries of socializing at work. Building relationships is a part of the I want to say game, but at the same time, on a personal level, this is what it's about: being in community and connecting with each other, genuinely caring about other people's lives builds the trust. It builds the connection at work where you can really work stronger together. So if this isn't something that you really value at work, consider how you can open your mindset to believing that forging relationships will be a benefit to you, to getting that promotion or getting that job, or being taken seriously for one of those things that you're striving for. So now, speaking of building connections, that brings me to something else that the book talks about, How Women Rise, written by Sally Helgensen and Marshall Goldsmith. They talk about 4 different types of power. Now, one type of power we've been talking about now all along, the power of expertise. But there are 3 other types of power they talk about. The power of connections, the second power of personal authority and charisma. So this is how we hold ourselves, how we carry ourselves, how we connect with other people, but not just in our words and the way we make conversation, but our body language, the way we engage and interact with others. All that is about personal authority and charisma. And then the fourth power is the power of position. Now, typically, if you see someone's name and you see that they're a VP of whatever department, you're going to wonder a thing or two about how they get in that position, you know, and what kind of education do they have? What kind of experience do they have? Right away, our brains kind of go to what expertise level or what expertise they have that got them in that position. Maybe it's something that we're striving for, and so we're curious about all those things. Right away, you've kind of put them in a position of power simply because of the position that they hold. This is the power of position. Now, one mistake that we make is the overuse of any of those positions of power. Right here, we're talking about the overuse of expertise, but any overuse of any of those, the power of connections. So that's where we might be tipping the scale a little bit on socializing a little bit too much. The power of personal authority or charisma. Maybe we're always kind of finagling our way to getting what we want versus really building relationships. And we're using our charisma to benefit ourselves versus benefiting the team or benefiting the department or the company. Or maybe power of position. We've just been striving for that high level role that we wanted to achieve, and it just didn't fill our soul the way we wanted it to because it's just a title. Who you are in that is what's more important. We all know this, but what I'm speaking to directly here is the overuse of any of these positions of power. And so what will get you to the healthiest state for yourself personally and professionally is to find a balance in all four of those positions of power. So when you can find a balance in all four, you may be stronger in one versus another, but when you can find a balance in all four of those positions of power, this is where you will find yourself at the healthiest leadership state that you can be at. And again, that's the power of expertise, the power of connections, the power of personal authority or charisma, and the power of position. So consider where you're at. What would you say is your best strength in one of these powers? So as a matter of fact, if you're catching me on the replay, go ahead and leave your comments here also about these positions of power. What do you think is one of your strengths in those? And maybe what is one of those positions of power that maybe you need to work on developing a little bit more? So leave that comment there. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. So if you found this information useful to you, certainly I'd love for you to leave a comment and let me know how you found it useful. Some women have reached out to me and said they don't really feel comfortable leaving comments on here because they're in a position where they really don't want others to know what their concerns are. And so for you, I invite you to send me an instant message. Let me know what you'd like to hear more about. Let me know what you may be struggling with at work. And maybe this one in particular is one that you're worried about constantly. How do I become an expert in the job that I'm in? Maybe you feel inadequate or insufficient in the job that you're holding, and so you feel like you have to become an expert in this. But I really want to ask you, is this an overvaluing of the expertise level? Is this striving for perfection, or is there really something that needs to be worked on? 9 times out of 10, we're doing a good job. This is why we're still in the role. We're just being too hard on ourselves and taking the expertise level a little too seriously. So again, I don't want to confuse the opinion that expertise is not important. It's the overuse of or overvaluing expertise is where we make our mistakes sometimes. So I hope you found it useful and helpful to you, considering this in personal and your professional life, thinking about how maybe this may be an overuse, maybe holding you back from achieving the goals that you want to achieve. I've been guilty of this myself, even in my business, where I'm over researching something when I have the knowledge here already. I just need to feel confident in myself when I'm delivering this expertise and sharing what I know. So I want to invite you to do the same and to feel good and confident in what you are talking about. If this is a struggle for you, send me an instant message and let me know so we can kind of chat about what it is that makes you feel that way, and kind of drill down on where that is really coming from to see if I can support you in that at all. So just leave me an instant message if you'd like to talk further about that. I also wanted to mention, somebody did reach out to me about I asked her what attracted you to watching these videos on Facebook, and she had said that for her, she went through a huge life transition where things have shifted and have changed, and she's gotten to a level where she wants to kind of reinvent herself. And I'm like, you are talking my language. I value so much when we as women come to the conclusion that, you know, maybe I haven't been living my best life and I didn't recognize that before, but now I want more and I want to experience more and go after more in my own life. And like, everybody that's known me before knows me as this person. And I'm not comfortable with that. I see myself as this person. How do I reinvent myself to be my authentic self and to show who I am on the inside? Many might think, well, you know, maybe you're being inauthentic by trying to be someone that you have not been in the past. But the inauthenticity comes when we're being someone that we're truly not. And it's kind of labeled us in this negative way, this negative light. So I want to empower you to think about what areas in your life do you want to reinvent and re-emerge as a go-to person for a particular skill, a particular strength that you have, and you've kind of undervalued that, you know, kept it on the back burner, not really talking about your strengths and not really talking about what you can bring to the table. The best way to reinvent yourself is to step out scared. It may not feel comfortable at first, but if there's something on your mind that you want to try and fear holds you back, I want to invite you to just step into it scared. And I'm a big believer that God plants these things in our minds for a reason. He plants these interests in our minds for a reason. And I want to invite you to trust and believe that you have it within you. There are many things that I still do today that scare me. But I know to elevate myself to the next level. And this is why you're watching this today. If you want to elevate to the next level, we have got to step into these things a little bit scared. If you don't have a little bit of concern in you in stepping into a new path, you're not thinking big enough. If what you want to accomplish doesn't scare you just a tiny bit, you're not thinking big enough. So think about what it is that you would like to achieve, what role you would like to step into, and take that leap, what feels like a leap, but many times it's just a tiny baby step. Take that step into that to see how you can embrace the change and learn a little bit more about yourself. So as a matter of fact, that's another thing that I would love to hear from you. If there's something that you would love to venture out and to do and you want a little support in how to take that baby step, reach out to me and we can chat about that also. So if you joined me tonight, I'm so glad you were here. If you joined me on the replay, I am so glad you were here. Leave a comment and let me know you were here, and have a great night, and I'll see you next Monday. Have a good night.